You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 180 of East Central Indiana's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by, I guess we got producer Chris. We've got Kade Koger over there. And I guess our permanent co-host, Zach Burcham, is here.
I feel like I need to grow my hair out, like coif it a little bit more like Dakota's just to fit in a little more.
You didn't bring your bourbon.
No.
And here's Kade, all without bourbon, expecting there was going to be bourbon.
There is no pen here, though, which is better than the normal, which is just a beat to death pen that doesn't work anymore.
Better than your pen carcass.
Yeah, usually there's a carcass of a pen.
What are we talking about today, Fake Dakota?
Looks like we're going to do an election update. We're going to get a harvest update from Kade because I told him genuinely I find it fascinating. He posted a video of how a combine works, and I still think it's magic.
How could it be so big and yet so gentle?
I rode in at one time. And you
sit on his lap?
No, it's got 3 seats. It's got 3 seats
and a refrigerator.
Yeah, but you drive and corn goes in the front, and immediately behind your head, corn kernels come out the back, and you're like, "What witchcraft is this? That this machine did all this?" And then we're going to find out about tuck shopping with Guffey, which I can imagine is fantastic. Jeremiah, you knocked out a trilogy.
I did. It was not a good one, but I got it.
Dedication.
I wanted to talk about that. Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about almost missing Garth and Hank's birthday. You can't miss Garth's birthday. Garth likes to party.
That's the story I hear.
And then there's going to be an airing of grievances, apparently. So we're going to get that out of the way.
This is exactly the story, kind of part of the story I just talked about ahead of time. I forgot I stuck that in here. So we'll talk about that too. This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh. But hopefully you will always learn something new. And you're going to learn all kinds of weird shit tonight. I promise that. Hey, look, the chat already has links in it, Zach.
I know. I think he's a little triggered because he's jumping the gun on it. But we'll start off like we normally do, giving the Patreon thank yous. It's nice and comfortable in here, even though it was like frosty a couple days ago, and now it's 80 today. It's one of those summer, spring, winter, all in 24-hour kind of thing.
I used our magic thermostat today from work, and I looked, and it was 67 in here. But it was 77% humidity. So I made the executive decision of kicking the air conditioner on and telling the fan to run just to try to dry out the air a little bit.
I'm thankful for that.
Even though it's a little bit chilled.
So, Patreon people that contribute every month and keep the lights on and the air conditioning going when we get a little heat spike. And if you donate more than $50 a month, you get your name mentioned. So we got Christy Avery, Chris Lamb, Anthony Meyer, and Jonathan Phillips. And then the links are already in there because Guffey's a little trigger happy. For the T-chip stores, we got BHOL 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the BHOL mug at the T-tip stores. So if you don't want to donate every month, you can go to those places and get some premium Boss Hog merchandise.
Do you want to welcome Councilwoman Betsy Mills, who has joined the Patreon in the last week or two?
Oh, welcome, Betsy Mills.
So that's pretty exciting. We're glad to have
Betsy's
glad to have her on board. She's busy being a councilwoman right now. I think they trolled us. We used to talk about how they needed to be open to the public and do a great job of making sure that we could all see what's going on in council meetings. And then the council decided to go ahead and counter program us. And once a month, their meetings are exactly during the podcast so that we can't be a part of it. Weird how that happened, but we own Thursdays and we're keeping them. That's just the way it goes.
You don't have to worry about you guys live streaming from their meetings like you guys used to.
I'm promised at some point they're gonna have some mics in there with video, and it's gonna be available and visible.
The city council did their meeting via Zoom on Monday, and it was pretty hilarious because nothing's funnier than different backgrounds people are doing, or just like where they put their phone. Because like one of them put their phone like down here.
They gave the Rudy Giuliani angle.
It looked more like Weekend at Bernie's. Like I was like, somebody needs to check on him, make sure he's okay.
Who was it?
It was I just Jeff Hancock.
Oh, Councilman Hancock.
He eventually turns his camera off. But
I mean, we've learned today that Zoom can get you in trouble. So an off camera is a safe camera. That's
throw something over the camera.
Yes, or
cover it up,
or to cover that thing up. Keep everybody nice and tidy. People are saying they're grabbing their bourbon. Producer Chris, do you want to go down the road to the liquor store? Do you want to make a bourbon run for Kade? He was promised bourbon. He brought his bourbon cherries.
But was he promised bourbon?
It was implied. He did leave it behind.
Well, we know what Dakota does.
And Dakota drank all of the bourbon. This is the tragedy of the commons. When nobody owns the bourbon, anybody can have the bourbon, and then nobody replaces the bourbon because it was free bourbon. And then the guy that left the bourbon, it comes back, and he's like, "What happened to the bourbon? I brought my cherries, and I got nothing." And did you bring a ball of ice too?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just over there melting.
My own mason jar.
Dude, I'll give you a credit card. Why don't you go get some bourbon?
I mean, I will. I just need to know what to buy.
What flavor you want? What do you want? And remember, I'm paying.
Buffalo Trace.
The little bottle, though.
The bottle with the buffalo balls on it.
Buffalo balls. You think I could get that at like the regular liquor store up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Just keep it under $25. And produce now. And officially, we have no producer now. You're on the clock. We're going to start the clock. We're going to do this. This is going to be great. Do you need to borrow my ID, or do you think yours will work? As soon as you leave this room, I'm going to start the stopwatch.
Welcome back, Guffey. The first thing they did was give you a reason to leave.
He's got bitch work. Watch us online. All right, start.
We should have just had Dickin come. He would have brought some.
He says need a delivery. He's offering to bring it right now. Come back, Chris. It's too late. Well, we'll see. So we got the whole city council watching. Mike Guffey saying thanks.
Here, I'll grab my mason jar.
You're getting your mason jar. We're going to fill it on the air. What we're supposed to be talking about. Election update. Voting early. This has been, we had the League of Women Voters come on. We've talked about it. And I'm not mad at the world, Zach, but I'm a little questioning.
Apparently it's way up.
Everybody is in a total panic and waiting in line for hours at a time to early vote. So I want to ask, so far I have not cast my ballot yet. I've not waited in line. I've not cast my ballot. Figured I got 12 hours on election day plus some extra time between now and then. I've not submitted to leaving my cell phone behind and going through the metal detectors to cast my ballot.
Hours aren't convenient enough for me to have even gotten there yet. I've worked till 4 every day. That's the only spot. But yeah, I don't know. There's the people that here in town have been waiting an hour to vote. And I saw that Dear Leader posted on Facebook that normally they say about this time, it's like, 5 million or less people have cast early ballots. And this year they're estimating it's been 35 million ballots have been cast already.
So that's about 1/10 of the country. Kade, have you voted yet?
No.
Are you going to vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Probably.
Right. Still trying to decide?
Probably the day of.
See,
should I wait?
I don't.
Is it bad to wait?
There are still policy decisions coming out. Right?
Right.
Like this week, Woody Myers and Don Rainwater both said who they're going to name for superintendent of public instruction. What if one of those sucked? Mm-hmm. What if they do something in the debate next week that you go, this is terrible?
I know somebody that voted already and then they watched the gubernatorial debate and were like, on their vote.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That can happen.
That's why I'm like, why would you? The campaigns want you to vote for their candidate. Period. That's it. That's their number one objective. So and they're going to harass you and say, hey, go vote for my guy. Go vote for my guy. And as soon as they've got that vote in the mail and it's done, you can't take it back. It's done. And that's where I'm like, these guys they're gaming you, right? It's completely about trying to get as many in your bucket as possible. And they don't care if you change your mind. And they don't care. The Biden campaign is only worried about getting votes for the Biden campaign. They don't give a damn about our county commissioners race. Yeah.
And that was one thing is, you might be sure who you're going to vote for president, but there's a whole bunch of people to vote for down ticket of that. And I saw somebody that was like, I don't even know what's going on with the school board race.
Then you went too early. You voted too early.
She hadn't voted yet, but that was one thing she had thought, I need to look at this race too, which will have a much more significant effect on her children and her life, probably not her life necessarily, than president or even governor necessarily, although governor has had a lot to do with how we've lived this year. But
Councilman Dickin is saying that they're letting people take their cell phones in if they're voting. That may be a local choice or a prestige of being a city councilman choice, because my next door neighbor had to leave his cell phone. He could not bring it in.
Maybe they just
he voted this week and said he couldn't have it. I don't know. I feel like Councilman Dickin has some elected officials privilege that he doesn't realize he has.
He doesn't realize he's swaggering in there.
He doesn't have a house in Brown County like the governor does. If you check out the Patreon, you'll know that story. Zach spotted it with his very own eyes. But you can take your cell phone in if you're Councilman Dickin.
Evidently, I heard also that you might be turned away for not wearing a mask by somebody who's not wearing a mask.
Really?
Yes.
In this county?
Yes. Somebody said they went to vote and that the people that were checking you at the door were not wearing masks, but they were turning people away for not wearing
yeah, because you're not protecting them at that point. You wear your mask to protect me, and I wear mine to protect you. I carry a gun to protect me from you, so I don't have to wear a mask. Does that logic check out? Are you on board with that, Kade?
I saw today headlines. There was a police officer in South Florida that got in trouble for wearing a Trump mask while working at the poll.
Well, that's I'm not sure
because it's advertising
state to state. But you're not. Yeah, they're not supposed to let you wear political attire into the polling place. Yep. And there's a whole bunch of people that hopefully don't have to take their shirt off their back, but probably are going to have to take their hats off.
Yeah.
When they go
4 minutes and 34 seconds so far on the Guffey clock. No updates from the story. Aaron Dickens says he would come down here, but COVID. That's bullshit. I read in the paper today that he already had the COVID, so he can't pretend. He can't have it both ways.
I already had it too, so I'm all right.
Yeah, you're immune. You could.
I still can't smell anything.
You really can't.
I really can't.
You taste?
Yeah, I can taste.
Do you feel like you have to wear a mask?
No.
5 minutes, 1 second. He is in the building.
Whoa.
How many rules did you break?
Look at that.
Get your mic on.
No rules were broken.
No rules. Did you catch every light as a green light? Because that's at least 6 blocks away.
6 Newcastle
lights,
blocks.
Red lights, where?
Right on red, baby.
Oh, Aaron
Dickens says HIPAA. I read it in the fake news courier. Don't even start.
I'll say this about poor Dickens. He's talking about it. I got 2 messages within 5 minutes of each other from 2 different streams of information telling me that he had it. And then 5 was like, that is so small town. But I literally was getting messages from 2 different people that came from 2 different places. Like the method of the information getting to me was totally different, but for the same thing. That was like, hey, did you know about Dickens?
Such a small town. Somebody read his chart and somebody was actually told by him.
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear Councilman Dickens got the COVID and he's not going to make it? It'll be in the paper tomorrow. Oh my gosh. All right. So is it wrong to wait? I don't think so. I feel like, Guffey, you haven't voted yet, have you?
No, I tried actually on the first day. It was horrible. I waited 40 minutes in line and there were still 20 people in front of me and I had a home inspection I had to go to.
I'm still waiting to hear if I'm going to work the polls. They said they might not need me. So
have you heard anything?
Nothing. I got a call from the head of a party that said, confirmed. And he said, well, if you don't hear from them, they probably didn't need you. I'm like, if I go in there and it's nothing but like 75-year-old people working the polls, I'm going to be like, you guys maybe should have rethought this.
Well, there's a lot of important people watching this right now, and maybe they'll check it out and realize that you've mentioned it 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Can't get a return phone call.
I can't do that. I can't get picked for jury duty. I'm trying to do my civic duty over here.
Man, maybe they'll only let you do it if you vote early. Maybe that's how they get you. All right. So there was a debate Tuesday. Was it Tuesday night? I think it was Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Holcomb, Myers, and Rainwater. Did you guys all watch it? Did you enjoy it? Did you check it out?
I did not.
Damn it.
I saw bits and pieces of it. I was working.
All the clips?
Yep.
You were busy running the beer fridge in the combine?
Hauling corn. Yep.
You can do that and drive.
That's what I mean. I saw bits and pieces of it.
Producer Chris, did you catch it?
Yeah, I watched the entire thing.
So it was virtual for the first time.
Yeah, I mean they were all in the same building, but
like a day before they, it sounds like the Myers campaign. Excuse me, got some Dragonfly IPA from Upland coming back up. The Myers campaign insisted on the virtual debate.
Yeah, but I mean they could have easily have spaced 6 feet apart.
It's theater. We've been playing this game for a while. Everybody should be good at it.
So I mean, okay, whatever.
So it was yes, they very much probably could have. It would have been just fine. But it it didn't have the normal fanfare. There was no audience. It was just in the TV studio. I've been to many of these, and normally it's everybody's in their seats 15 minutes ahead of time. You sit there and you wait and you watch, and it all happens. And there's a little bit of applause at the end, or maybe a little bit of light laughter. Very different. There were some shots. I think there was one pool photographer there, and they were at their podiums, and then they had like on either side of the candidate standing out there looking out. They had monitors so that they could see all of the other folks involved. So they had the two other candidates plus the moderator had their monitor. And then I think they each candidate had like one or two people there. It'd be tough to do it that way. I would much rather be in person seeing them instead of trying to hear it over earpiece. It'd be like doing a satellite TV interview. I think that's probably an advantage for Holcomb much more than the others where they've done that in the past.
Mm-hmm. He's been doing stuff, probably like virtual interviews for months.
Right. Well, I'm saying if you've done like a satellite television interview, if you've done those on the regular, they'd be more like that. Yeah. And maybe being in the building, you don't have as much of a delay. Now, that said, Governor Holcomb's Zoom press conference last week was a complete disaster. So it was much more difficult. The moderator goofed up at one point and referred to Dr. Myers and then to Dr. Holcomb. And then Eric kind of jumped into that with both feet. So he's been Dr. Eric Holcomb all week, which has been fun.
I hang out with enough doctors. I should be considered a doctor. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he stayed at a Holiday Inn Express.
He did.
So now he's in.
Yep.
He's good to go. Rainwater, I think the biggest moment he had on the stage was saying that COVID did not close small businesses. Executive orders did. I think that really stuck home. Mm-hmm. It was blasted by the newspaper saying, you're crazy and you're stupid and things were closed already. But I think that's actually something that did connect with an awful lot of folks. Mm-hmm. What's the ABC affiliate in Indianapolis? WRTV? Is it RTV6? They had a one of those polls where you have a react, a heart, a like, a laughter, or whatever. And in their response, and I know that at least the Rainwater campaign asked people to respond, but they had like 2,500 in favor of Rainwater and like 300 in favor of Holcomb, and then 200 in Church of Woody. It was so far off the charts, unreal. The next day after the debate, there were some clips that the same news outlet grabbed, and like 45 minutes after the fact, the Rainwater campaign had like 75 shares on something, and the others between the two of them had 3 shares.
Yeah,
I mean, it at least on the online side.
And I would say strong. Too, I've noticed. I mean, call me biased, I guess, but I have seen a lot of Rainwater yard signs. I mean, more than I expected.
In Henry County.
To be, really anywhere.
Yeah, I've seen some in Delaware County. I was taking the back road to Mowgli's pet class, and I saw at least like 5 on the back roads. And I'm like,
I've been hauling corn all week, and I see it all the way over to Winchester.
Yeah.
So
my understanding is that every county got at least 50. Mm-hmm. Pretty much every county is organized and has people out there, and there's a demand. I think 13,000 of them were distributed across the state, which is big. I mean, I don't know what the number is going to be. It's very possible that we have a Jesse Ventura type of election here. It's also very possible that doesn't happen. But there's a lot of smoke.
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of smoke. Other big question that came up in the debate was Myers said no expansion to constitutional carry. Hey, does that strike you at all? Holcomb said he's cool with red flag laws. Rainwater said shall not be infringed, essentially.
Yep.
There was a lot of division on guns, which I was not expecting.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like Rainwater, again, for me, as far as the Second Amendment goes, he definitely won that debate, too. And everywhere else that I've heard him talk about it, he seems to be pretty like-minded. So
the Indy Star had a couple of articles that we linked in the show notes. If you're a patron, you get those every week. But basically, Holcomb, the only guy he engaged with in the debate, he really ignored Myers, but he engaged with Rainwater.
Yeah,
which was very interesting. Seeing a third party candidate do that and get that level of attention was just this is the race of the year.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't even can't tell you if I've seen a Woody Myers sign. It's in somebody's house that's got 9 other Democratic.
It's got the full roster.
I
of
haven't.
Democrats.
And luckily, I live this most people would say it's ridiculous, but most of the time on the TV at my house is kid shows and they're being streamed. So I have seen almost no political ads. Couldn't tell you he's like, I bet there are people that don't know who he is, that don't know, like, who's the Democratic candidate for governor, and they probably don't know. Yeah. And there might be some people that like are real out of the loop that might guess that, well, I see Holcomb signs and I see rainwater signs, so it must be rainwater. There might be actually be people that think that based off signs. You just don't know. Did he actually run? Like, did he care? Or did he just, they put his name on the ballot as like, well, we'll throw him out there. And I think he's trying to get on from talking to somebody that said that back in the day, he was a huge figure in public health. Mm-hmm. But it was like during the AIDS crisis.
Yeah, he was the Dr. Box role that you see now in the Governor Holcomb administration. He was that for Evan Bayh. That's how long ago it's been.
But that's been so long ago. And I just like, he hasn't seemed to try. Like, I just don't, and maybe he can't get a commercial spot because Sparks and Hale have bought them all, but I'm just like, is he even, if I were Holcomb, I wouldn't worry about him. I would be worrying about rainwater. Because
he's out of money. Woody Myers, at the last reporting period, Woody Myers has less money on hand, significantly less money on hand than rainwater did. It's crazy.
You don't have to
be over $200,000.
You don't have to look very far in any of the comment threads, though, under any of those posts that people complaining about the third party splitting the Republican ticket. What are your thoughts on when it comes down to that?
I think this year has been really easy. Mm-hmm. The Republican governor has been operating as a Democrat the entire time, so they should be happy, and that's his entire strategy at this point. Is will enough Democrats flip to support Holcomb to save him? He's losing his right side. He's lost the guy that ran on the conservative side for governor multiple times, Eric Miller of Advance America, tied in significantly with a bunch of church groups. Mm-hmm. He's sending out daily emails with his little checkbox, their voter guide or whatever, where they've got like 7 issues that rainwater agrees on and the other 2 don't. So it's, check, rainwater, nothing for Holcomb.
Yep.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Unheard of.
I was going to say, so at my work, there's a lot of very straight Republican voters. And we got to talking, and obviously they're going to vote Trump because that's just what they do. And I got to talking to them, and I'm like, oh, who are you voting for governor? They're like, oh, I don't even know who's running. I was like, you should probably look into this. And immediately 2 out of the 3 came back and was like, I'm voting rainwater. It's like, maybe you should look at Libertarians down ticket. Maybe we should do this.
Check more of them out.
Yeah. It's astounding to me that so many people know who the presidential race is.
Yeah.
But they don't know who the governors, the county, and the...
What I remember from 2016 walking in, you could tell there were people that's the only race they cared about.
Absolutely.
Like they would literally ask, all I want to do is how do I vote for Trump?
Yeah.
That would be literally the way they would go in. And I was just like, oh man, there's so many other.
Yeah.
And I locally, there was a local election that the result of I thought was like a joke. And I was like, this is people that just weren't paying attention.
2016?
Yeah. So.
Talking about
Actually, it's probably 2018, but people don't care for that.
That happens
election.
18. It happens 16.
Yeah, but I was just
the coroner's race in 16 probably got some people's attention with the way that one turned out.
Well, heck, when 2019 when I ran, the last guy at the polling station just went in, voted, came out, and was like, I don't even know who the guys on my ballot were. And me and Jerry were standing right there.
I introduced him to them.
Yeah, it's like
he walked right by you guys. That was the only race on his ticket.
What? Uneducated. So how did he know who to pick?
Yeah.
I didn't know who these guys were. I just didn't vote.
I did see another comment at one point where it was Holcomb, Rainwater, and Dr. Woody, and it said, the lady said, I don't know who the other 2 on the right are, but I didn't vote for the guy on the left. That's what the comment was. Gold. Thanks.
Saying I didn't vote for Holcomb?
They just didn't vote for Holcomb. They just voted for one of the other 2
pick
guys.
Somebody else.
Yep.
The hell with it. Stick it to the wall. See what works.
Yep.
Oh, what an unbelievable year this is going to be. Mm-hmm. About a week and a half left. Start. That's almost time to start thinking about who you're going to vote for. You going to be done harvesting stuff by Election Day, Kade?
I'm really hoping so. We're getting pretty close. Got about 800 or 900 acres of corn left. Almost 300 acres of double crop beans to cut. And,
you're so wealthy. You've done bean twice this year.
Yeah.
You've done beans twice.
Yep.
Just printing money over there.
But and we did get our first hemp crop done and harvested.
Did you smoke it?
And I didn't. I'm not allowed to.
How does this work? No jokes. This is the very first year you've had legal hemp opportunities. Yep. Did you have to buy new equipment? How does this go?
It's been a learning curve, but because we've got so many years under our belt growing produce, we had a lot of the machinery needed, and we just kind of retrofitted everything to work for us.
Adapted over?
Yep.
So did you hide your hemp field so that you wouldn't get hassled? How does this go?
Yeah, kind of. We kind of did that. We kind of hid the location, and we just had it, behind a cornfield and behind some other things, and we didn't really talk super publicly about it all the way through the summer, just because I don't want to have to go out there and defend it all night. But that does seem like
it would have been fun.
That'd be a good way to write off some night vision or something.
Woody probably wouldn't have let you do it, but the other two might have.
Yeah.
Just don't be crazy when you start talking about it.
You could have got a killer drone to do that.
Yeah. There we go. But yeah, we got it planted in the spring and kind of watched it grow all summer long. We had a third party testing facility that we would clip samples and then dry and then send it off to be sampled
to make sure that you were going to be in the right range.
Yeah, if you go above a certain percentage on the THC, guys in helicopters rappel down into your field, and then they force you to burn it at gunpoint. That's what I'm told. I don't know if that happened or not.
Yeah, they'll probably take out your firstborn kid too.
Yeah,
at least your dog.
At least
your dog would be gone for sure.
Yeah, the way the ATF's been going this year, they for sure take your dog.
So how do you get your seed?
So there's a company that we sell it to. They start the plants. So when we get them, they're about a foot tall.
So you didn't have to get a planter.
No, they were already
just made
started.
Knox and Cannon go out there with a spoon and plant them.
No, we've got a planter that you ride on. It's a water wheel, and it's on raised beds of plastic with drip tape irrigation under it, and it pokes holes, and you just have people ride, and you put the flat of plants in your lap, and then it pokes a hole, fills the hole with water, and then you stick the plant in the hole, and then kind of cover it with your hand, and you just drive real slow. And then we planted 5,000 plants by hand.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Ugh. So it worked out pretty good. I mean, that's what we're used to with the produce and the tomatoes and peppers.
This is how you grow your other plants
Yeah.
as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. When we just scaled that part back. We didn't grow as much produce this year. We kind of went out on a limb. We're going to try this hemp production for CBD and see how it works.
So are you going to be driving semi trucks full of hemp product?
Yeah, we already did.
To the
it was
going to grain silo?
It was like Smokey and the Bandit. I bought a Trans Am.
You put it in duffel bags. How do you transport this?
No, so
this newly incredibly legal product.
So, like I said, we used a third-party testing facility to kind of let us know THC levels as the plants mature. Once we think we're close enough to harvest, we call Purdue and say, "Hey, we think we're ready to plant. We're ready to harvest." They come out with the state chemist and have samples set off. And then 10 to 14 days later, we had the okay to go ahead and harvest. So then,
so the state told you it was okay at that point.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, after the day that they test it, you can start harvesting. But there's like a 10 to 14 day drying period they expect you to go through. But after we got the okay to go ahead and harvest, you basically by hand with big lopping tools, you lop every plant off and lay it down. We threw it in a trailer. And we took everything to the produce barn there on 3. And then from there, we packed it all in boxes and put them in a box trailer.
So you don't do any processing of it yourself. You take the whole plant?
Well, we tried. So we had the option of what's called bucking. And once you take the whole plant and you get it to where you're processing it, you pull all the stems off of it. And then we had a board with holes drilled in it. And you'd push the stem through that hole and then yank it all the way through. And it would pull all the biomass off. So the flower and the leaves, all that would come off, and then you would just have a bare stem, which is worthless for what they want for the CBD.
Nobody wants the stem. They want everything else.
Yeah, they just want the leaves and the flower.
So the leaves matter as well, not just the flower.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we tried that for 2 or 3 boxes, and it took us 4 hours to get through about a fifth of a trailer load. And a trailer load was a tenth of what we had to do. So it was going to be way too time intensive for us to do it with no more help than we had. So we ended up calling the people we were taking it to and said, "Hey, what are our options?" And they said you can just cut the limbs off the main stalk and then put them in a box and then keep the boxes cool, put them in a trailer until you got a trailer full, and then bring them down to us to Indy.
Does the money change? Like, is it more money if you process it more?
Yeah, we would have made more money if we would have bucked every stem and just sent just the biomass.
But this is how you learn.
Yeah,
right.
We were just learning on the fly.
Yeah.
So it was just too much work.
Now you know how many guys you got to have set, or how many folks you have to be able to do the bucking.
Yep.
And get through it.
So we got everything out of the field, processed in the shop there, put in a box truck, sent to Indy. They got a big warehouse where they dry everything down, and then they press it to get the CBD oil. And then once they put that in barrels, we're going to wait until January, February when the market peaks, and then that's when we sell it.
So you get it back. You've paid them to process it.
No. They've bought it. They've bought the biomass.
Okay.
So we know how many pounds it is. We'll know how much CBD oil it makes.
Okay.
And they're going to hold it until peak market season. And then once that happens, they pay us a fair price for it, and then they use it for selling it for whatever products need to be made with it.
You get a certain chunk of whatever it gets sold for, and they're going to sit on it because it helps them and it helps you.
Yeah, because it's almost like a 50-50 partnership. So they get half what it's worth. We get the other half for growing it.
So I know it's early in the process. Mm-hmm. You look at your crops that you're going to plant, and you say, well, what am I going to make the most money on per acre, and where do I have upside? So is this going to replace tomatoes, or is it more profitable to grow this than it is tomatoes, or is it just cool?
We're going to have to see.
It's too early to know.
It's still too early to know. That's the reason that we took the gamble was when we decided we're gonna grow it. We knew a roundabout value. Unfortunately, that value's dropped to about half what we thought it was going to be
because everybody's doing it this year.
Well, and the COVID has made everything. The markets on everything fluctuate.
Okay.
And it hasn't recovered like corn or soybeans has. So we're still waiting to see. That's why we're going to wait till January, February, where typically that market picks back up. And then that's when we'll sell it.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yep. So hopefully, at least we break even. But there's a possibility that we don't break even. We'll actually lose money on it. So just like anything else.
Isn't farming just
and there's no
joy?
There's no insurance on that stuff.
Can't quite do that yet.
Yep.
So you guys do grow your own produce as well, because everybody talks about harvest and they get all excited about the corn and the soybeans coming out, and that's you get to drive your big tractors. But you guys have been selling stuff that's come off your ground since June, July, August.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yep.
You've been harvesting constantly.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that really? Is that something to keep you busy and a little extra income, or is that also significantly profitable compared to the others?
Yeah, it's very profitable. I mean, it's when you've got a modern farm like we do today, you can't always go out and rent or buy more ground to farm more ground. It's actually kind of hard. So the way things are, as far as market volatility goes, what you want to do is diversify. So that's why we have the cattle. That's why we have the row crop. That's why we have the produce, the pumpkins, the hemp, all that stuff all together. If one part of the market's bad one year, then hopefully the other parts of the market make up for it.
How's the pumpkin world?
Really good.
You guys are overrun with them. I looked out today, and I don't think there's a square inch of ground out there that's not covered in orange.
Yeah.
You guys grow those yourselves?
Yep.
You're out there chomping pumpkins.
Yep. And 200 north. You drive west of 3, and you'll see the field.
Guffey almost lived out that way, but then he decided he's going to move to Muncie. Jerk.
I think I've run past that.
No, I tried to buy that house on Western Road, but the person that ended up buying it ended up waiving the home inspection. So it was not going to be me.
Crazy times.
Not going to be me.
So, do you guys sell anything pumpkin spiced over there?
I don't.
There's some donuts, right? Here.
We've got some vendors that come in. I'm sure there's some body lotions and stuff that are pumpkin
there was
spice.
Some pumpkin spice donuts or something y'all have had this week.
Yeah, we had some pumpkin spice donuts this week.
But does it have anything to do with your pumpkins?
No.
Did you know that
it's just the cake batter?
The Kogers are very generous people whenever you fix their farm equipment.
Okay.
Because we fixed.
Wait, is this a kickback? Are you going to admit to a crime?
No.
Did you get somebody in front of somebody else?
Nope. No. So Kade's dad brought it in off of his dryer board. He needed it fixed. We fixed it.
Mm-hmm. Did you jump in front of the Chapmans? Because we like the Chapmans around here too.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying. Kent got his stuff fixed. Next thing I know, here comes L&K Donuts coming to the front door.
You just got to grease everybody with some donuts every now and then.
Greasing those wheels. I read.
They know how to do
I read
it.
a few people got some donuts this week.
Yeah.
I would think that the more stuff you have too, you probably get people to come in and they want to pick up some beef, and then they're like, "Oh, look, there's stuff here," and then the donuts are always right there next to the checkout, and like, "Oh, look at those."
And I mean, really, while we're on it, just big shout out for the whole community. We've had a really, really good year out there with the produce. All the vendors that we've had on the lot. It's just kind of been our way to reach out for local businesses that are hurt by everything happening with COVID.
Oh, it's been another gear this year. It's been like a street market in the parking lot.
Because we knew as soon as all this happened and they started shutting businesses down, we've got to do something because this is going to hurt us. It's going to hurt everyone around us. And the best way we could think to help everyone in the community was to offer, the extra space that we have on the lot. If you've got a small business, come down and hopefully our crowd will support you and your crowd will support us, and we'll just have a big community, weekend with everybody out there. And it really has. It's worked out really great.
It's been like an additional farmers market in the community. It's been fantastic. I know Andrew Bowman came out and he was it was like tourism. You guys were a tourism spot for him.
Yeah.
Earlier this summer.
The big inflatable ear of corn makes it easier for people to find.
Yep. With the pumpkin. And I'm trying to talk management into getting a big Angus cow, inflatable cow too.
Ooh,
so
it's too bad the old Max cow isn't floating around. I don't know if any of you guys are old enough to remember that. Jeremiah Mike Guffey,
yep,
the one that ended up in the middle of the football field.
All I'm saying is I'm glad you pointed out how old you are. You're finally starting to realize.
Back in the day, before we had an Arby's, we had a Max in Newcastle, and there was a cow.
Yeah, it's where Pizza Hut was. He has a big cow on a trailer, and at one point somebody towed it in the middle of the football field for a senior prank. But yeah, I was like, oh, that'd be fun to have around. I don't know where it ended up. I think somebody bought it and took it somewhere. That'd be fun to see on the road.
My dad's reminding me of the roasted sweet corn you guys had this year too.
Yeah,
that was
cool.
A new addition.
Yeah,
the corn roasters, not a corn baller. That's different. My last question for you, Kade, is how do you not blow your wad every November and go buy a new truck? You get all this money. You got to make your money last all year long, but it's like Friday.
The
fall is like Friday.
The last and the first new truck that I bought is paid off.
You're done.
Why do I need to go buy another one? It still runs. It's got 120,000 miles on it.
It's a diesel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Barely broke in.
It does it. It does everything I need it to do.
You don't drive it enough. You've had it for like 4 years.
I drive it everywhere.
You don't drive it enough.
Well, it's just everything's local. It's mostly local miles, pulling stuff.
Yeah, you don't have, Zach will put that on a car in like 3 years with his life.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I bought my car 5 years ago, like 77, and it's got 170 on it. So I put 100,000 miles on it in 5 years.
For being a farm truck, it's got very few dents in it too. So it's still in pretty good shape.
You got to threaten guys. So you have no temptation. You get to the fall. You don't. That's not a.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
No.
All right.
I'll say one thing.
I've heard people say, "Well, I got my loan, my operating loan, so now I can buy my truck too."
No, I mean I've got a lot of fun little toys and hobbies and things that keep me busy. So
I'll tell you what, diesel trucks are one of those things that if you talk, I know Kade's this way. Older trucks are better than the new trucks, so he probably would be more likely to go find an old one than brand new ones. Usually they're just getting more and more electronic.
And anything that requires DEF, you say, hell no.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason my father-in-law bought his truck, because it was emissions disabled already.
Yeah.
Like, I'm buying that one.
The market for older tractors now that don't have any of those things has skyrocketed. I mean, things that you wouldn't think are worth a whole lot of money, they're worth a lot of money now.
Somebody asked you about that one time on Facebook, and you said that like an old tractor, something breaks and you'll fix it. And it'll be back out in like a couple hours.
Yeah.
A new one breaks and it's like, okay, now you got to make an appointment, get down to the dealer and hope they can get it in. And if it's like this time of year, I bet the dealers are overrun.
Oh yeah.
With tractors breaking because everybody's using them.
If it's anything to do with sensors or computers or wiring harnesses or anything like that, I basically can't touch it. If it's not a belt or,
it goes
a common wear part.
It goes like, can I work on it? Can Guffey work on it?
Yeah.
Can John Deere have to work on
exactly.
it? Right? That's basically the three levels.
Yep.
I will say, like what you mentioned about how older tractors are, I talked to a guy, I think he was in Mississippi, and he's just like, I love these electronics, but damn it, I wish I had my old tractor back. I was like,
Yeah.
sir, I guess I understand. I don't wish that because then I'd be out of a job.
Mechanical
Nothing to work
injection
on.
is very reliable.
So I had a whole segment based on that conversation of the airing of the grievances, because I was complaining, and I know it's right in your wheelhouse. The same thing. I told the story in the building, but I'll tell a little bit of it here for everybody else. Everybody has if your car is a 2007, 2008 or newer, it has a tire pressure monitor sensor in it, TPMS, and they're a bitch because the battery's going to die and they're not serviceable. Mm-hmm. They're not user serviceable. And depending upon who you go to, they're going to be like, yeah, it's $75 or yeah, it's $125 to fix the thing. Mm-hmm. You got that in every corner of your car. So it used to be like, hey, $400 will buy you a set of tires. Now $400 is going to buy you a set of TPMS junk, and you got to go buy a set of tires.
Yep.
Painful. And that's a little government intrusion too. Because auto manufacturers didn't add that. Mercedes probably did that just for fun, but Chevrolet wasn't putting that in every vehicle until
my 05 my 05 Tahoe has it, but it was like a top of the line for what it was at the time. Yeah, new cars have it, but they don't tell you. They only tell you if it's low. My Tahoe, at least if they're working, which I had like one or two left working, and now they're not because I think your bad luck rubbed off on me. It would at least give me the pressure at all four corners in the dash display if I wanted it. But yeah, they're all down. And I'm like, I didn't want to mess with it.
And I think typically you've got to remove the tire from the wheel.
You've got to bust the wheel. Yeah,
because it's a big, the sensor part's like this big wide thing inside the wheel.
Yep.
So I looked at it. I'm like, okay, I know that it's a thing to mount and balance your own tires, right? So that got me on the YouTube rabbit hole of going, I wonder if you can actually do your own. And you can. And I'm guessing Kade probably already has the shit to bust down his own tires at home.
No, I don't. Actually, I still have anything tire related unless I can get it with spoons myself. I got to take it to Greens Fork or Cambridge City or something.
My brother has one for motorcycle tires. You can swap motorcycle tires. But.
You can get one for about $35 that you have to anchor in the concrete to do it manually, like you would have done if you were in the 1930s working on an Indy car.
Yeah.
Right. Picture. So you can do your own tires that way. But looking at it, I think you'd tear up your wheels. I'd much rather probably.
You've seen the guys that mount them by spraying something flammable in there and it hitting them with the torch.
Yeah. And then it explodes.
I hope you don't put a bit too much.
You could do that too. But just busting them down and taking them off would be a nightmare too. So I guess I was like, I wanted to do it myself. I could find the sensors for like a pack of them, like a 4-pack is like $80.
Yeah.
They're not that expensive. And I know I've had places do them before me and spend like $35. $35 seems fair. If it's $20 for the part and the labor, but I also realize it is a pain in the ass because you've got to take the wheel off. You've got to bust the wheel open. You've got to do the actual programming. You've got to remount. Excuse me. You got to remount the wheel, and you've also probably got to balance it too because now you've actually added weight or changed the weight.
Yeah.
So it is a pain. I get that.
You would think 12 years into the experiment now, and like 15, at least 15, because like I said, I have an 05 that has it. They would have figured out how to mass produce these things a little cheaper and make them still work.
They've had, as a salesman, they have had discipline in the market to not drive themselves to the floor and put a bunch of Chinese ones out there that cost $3 each, and you can just buy them cheap for $12. Some car parts are randomly expensive.
Oh yeah.
I looked at my truck's in 08, my Tahoe's in 08, and my weather stripping on the driver's side, drag my foot across. So the weather stripping is starting to crack a little bit. So I'm like, maybe I'll order this and grab it. A set for left and right is $300. The driver's side alone for the weather stripping is $155 for a piece of weather stripping.
Some machine cranks out in like seconds.
It's insane.
Just pumps it out.
Insane.
Probably thousands of feet of it a day.
So there's my airing of the grievances. I don't know if you guys got any more. I know, Kade, you probably have one on tractor, not being able to work on your own stuff.
If you ever want to play a fun prank, if you know anyone that works at a auto parts store, you got to call down there and tell them you've got a 94 Toyota Tacoma and you need a water pump gasket.
What's that look like?
You want to, ask them what it looks like to make sure they've got the right part. You want to look that up, Chris?
Does Zach know that joke?
No, I don't think I do. I do. Oh. I know I've got.
I need you to look over on the wall, and if you remember the flying Air Force, it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
I think this is the right gasket. Can you explain to me what?
That's an engineer. Had a great time with that. That's worth
so you're gonna have to
Googling.
put that in Patreon.
Yep.
Put that in the Patreon group for us, Kade. Zach, you got anything on the grievance side?
No, there's probably always something I could rant about, but not too bad. Like I said, I wish now my tire pressure monitoring sensors worked, but no, not really. That's an annoying thing. There's all kinds of annoying things in life, but
Mine all work right now, and my problem is that I think I might have replaced one 2 years ago, but I know I've got at least 2 more that are going to go.
Delete them. Buy a tuner. Delete them. That's what I did.
That's probably what's going to happen.
Probably get better fuel mileage too.
And the hell with it. Yeah, I can just,
Yeah.
I have a tuner, and I can clear stuff. I can see my water pump. I can say
You can read any code that comes
I
up.
can read it all with my tuner.
Yep.
We're getting tuners.
I've got a thing on mine that I can read codes, and because I don't have a trans temp gauge. I tow a camper, so I need to know that. And Chevy puts a trans temp sending unit in every truck, but they don't put the gauge in the cluster.
I got it. I've got the digital readout.
Like Escalade's got them, and some other trucks got them. But I can hook an app to my phone with a Bluetooth thing plugged into OBD2, and I can pull up my trans temp on my phone while I drive down the road.
Yeah, but how do you text?
I don't text while I
You
drive.
need a second phone.
The government made that illegal this year, didn't they?
Allegedly.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here's an airing. Supposedly it's supposed to be illegal to hold your phone if a cop just sat plain clothes and just identified people for another. 80% of this town drives around with the phone in their hands from a runner's perspective. Like I'm seeing it up close as they nearly clip me.
Well, you got to have your phone in your hand ready to take a picture of something crazy.
Oh, they're always
like some
staring
runner
down.
that's in the road instead of on the damn sidewalk.
I can't decide which are my favorite. The people that just hold their phone up with no shame, it's like above, or the typically older folks that
below
hold
the
it down.
dash.
So, no, I can't see your phone, but I also can't see your face because it's buried in your lap. Like you're looking down so hard.
That's still not as bad as people that drive around with dogs in their lap.
Yeah, I was
That
driving
really
over,
gets under
I was
my-
driving over to the studio today, and it was one of those where I was over by Zach. I was coming across. There's a weird 5-way intersection at Main Street and Baker Park and something else. I don't know if that's I or Vine or what the hell road that is. But there was somebody that I was waiting on, and they couldn't see me because their dog was blocking their view.
Yeah.
They literally couldn't see me. So I was waiting on them, and finally they figured it out.
Sorry, Christy. I know she drives with her dog in her lap.
Yeah, but she doesn't have a real dog. It's a little tiny thing that wouldn't block her view. This is a boxer.
That's even worse, though. You never know when they're going to spaz
Just
out.
lose them underneath the gas pedal.
I'm always, when they drive by me like that, I'm always waiting to I hope your dog doesn't jump out of your car.
Yeah.
And then with
And you
my
run
luck,
your own dog
with my
over.
luck, you'll swerve into me and the dog trying to grab the dog because they'll lean over. My favorite was there's a couple back in the day when I was a kid that they drove around. Husband drove, dog rode shotgun, wife rode in the back seat. The wife rode in the back so the dog could get the window seat.
Were the kids in the back?
No
You think?
kids. They were older.
Oh.
Like retirees.
Well, he's probably just tired of her.
Yeah.
Producer Chris, you got any grievances? Left lane drivers, anything like that on your Grand Tour coming back?
No. It was we were pretty solid. It was kind of hot when I was down there, and obviously we went to Universal Studios to see Harry Potter World, which I was probably extremely excited about. But we had to wear a mask the whole time, and it was a little hot. But
Did you not realize that if you're drinking beer, you were safe?
I know, but I didn't really want to drink beer because it was like 90 degrees out, and I was just like,
Bottle of water,
I'm not something. I should. Well, I did have a butter beer, so
You got to have one of those when you're down there.
exactly. You have.
How was it, though? Was it pretty fun?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we watched some YouTube clips about where we should go first, and we went to the right into Diagon Alley, if you're familiar with Harry Potter World,
Where you buy your magical brooms and shit.
where we did actually buy our wand. But anyways,
It's like the Silk Road on the dark web.
yeah. Anyways, so there was nobody there because they all wanted to go to the rides, and Paige and I, luckily, we're not ride people, so
You're old.
So we went to Diagon Alley and very, very loose lit people. And then we were like, oh, well, let's go over to Hogsmeade, the new other place. And we went over there. And when we first got in there, you're like, shh, everybody's just stacked on top of each other. And
Social distancing.
yeah, and then we waited, I think we only waited 20 minutes in line to get our food and then 20 minutes to actually get the food once we got sit down. So
Can you go and have a wand selected?
you actually can. And so we didn't do that. because I think we went to the wrong one.
Explain this to me because I've only watched.
I feel like
this once.
that'd be the only reason I would go.
Yeah.
The wand picks you.
Yeah, the wand chooses the wizard, Mr. Potter.
It's like the Indy 500.
So, but no,
Track picks that's winner.
you can have that. And since COVID is happening, online, it actually says it's a private event for your party. So like they bring you and your party in real quick and they make it. Whereas pre-COVID, it was, you'd get a group of people in. Generally they would choose a kid and then make it just a big show. Mm-hmm. So, but it was wonderful.
So you can use COVID to your advantage and make sure that you win.
Absolutely.
Rig it for you.
You should take your kids.
Incredible.
I'll remember that.
Yeah. And then I did get to go deep sea fishing, so went about 6 miles off the coast and caught some snapper, grouper.
Which side you go?
The Gulf. It was like 50 feet deep. I was like, he's like, oh yeah, we're about 6 miles out. I was like, how deep are we? He's like, 50 feet. I was like, what?
I've done that at Summit Lake with Jer.
Yeah. I've been deeper. The only difference is there's not sharks in Summit Lake,
and you can't see land.
Yeah.
It's pretty far. I've not taken my boat to the point where I can't see shore anymore. That would be a little sketchy.
So, but it was really fun. We had a good time.
So this Saturday, we're living my dream.
We are leaving.
Who are you?
Yes.
I have long contended that the girls always get to have the fun, and they immediately, like this happens every time. It's like they were expecting an engagement. Within a week and a half, they're dress shopping.
Yeah,
after
absolutely.
an engagement.
Yeah.
It happens every damn time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, the guys never get a day. So you have invited a select few.
Yes, I have created a group
on Saturday.
And we are going to go tux shopping.
We're going to go tux shopping.
Basically, the plan is we are going to celebrate and go to a bunch of local craft beer places and drink flights and just get slightly buzzed and hammered.
Will we remember to find a bow tie or something?
I believe we're going to say yes to the porter.
Yes to the porter. The bow tie porter.
So that's what we're doing.
That's the deal.
I know. It's going to be exciting. You haven't ever met Jake, have you? Oh, well, you met him at the...
Yeah, I met him at the dark alley once, that one time.
Well,
you made me look at his Harry Potter room.
The walk.
I was going to say, the only wedding I've been in, the groom picked the tuxes, and then we literally went to different stores all over the state, got measured, and then your tuxes showed up where we were.
See,
where the wedding was.
We're actually we're just doing khakis, white button-up shirt, suspenders, bow tie for the grooms, and I'm going to be wearing a tie.
How many grooms are there in this wedding?
4.
Damn, not groomsmen, grooms. You said grooms.
There's
How many
4
grooms?
of us. There's 4 of us. We're very, you know.
I don't want to marry your woman.
Well,
she's yours. I'll be assistant to the regional groom. I don't want to be the groom.
Too bad. It's we're the reverse Mormons over here.
All right. Final items here. I watched a trilogy. It was a little late, but the Ayn Rand movie or Ayn Rand book, Atlas Shrugged, has a 3-part trilogy that's out. And it was done, I think they released a movie in 2011, 2014, and maybe 2016. I saw the first movie because it was a really big deal in the Liberty world at the time. And then I was like, okay, it was fine. It got me interested enough that I actually bought the audiobook. And I got through like half the audiobook and I went, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. Because it's like a 700-page thick book. Yeah. It was a lot. It's like, it's a very intense book to read. So I'm like, okay. Sarah has been listening to Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. She's been binge listening this entire thing. Turns out that young Tim Durham is in Hollywood and he is working on all these different movies and he's got an IMDb. I went down the rabbit hole, as I often do, and he worked on Atlas Shrugged Part 1. He was an assistant. So I'm like, oh, Sarah and I can watch this. I'll get back into it, try to find it, whatever. It's on YouTube TV. All 3 things in the series are there. And I'm like, all right, this will be fine. I watched the first episode and it's okay. It's about liberty. It's about, kind of a dystopian world where things are screwed up and the government isn't functioning. And, it's very, very much watching it in 2011 and then watching it in 2020. In 2020, you go, oh my God, a lot of this looks like the current world. Like it's broken. Things aren't, there's shortages. There's all this crap happening. The world's not functioning correctly. man, this is kind of hitting home more than I expected it to. And it's one of the key characters is in the steel industry. I'm in the steel industry. They're building a bridge. I build bridges. There's like all this stuff. I'm like, I have to watch this.
Yeah.
So I watched the first one, and then you get to movie number 2. They recast everybody. Everybody's different. So now it feels more like a play where it's an adaptation of a book, and there's some people you recognize, but they've recast everybody. So the guy that plays Howard Hamlin in the Breaking Bad sequel, Better Call Saul, he's in it. He's a character. There's recognizable people in the movie. And then I'm like, all right, well, that was last night. I went ahead and I binged the third as well and knocked it out. So I got an entire trilogy done so it's about 4.5 hours worth of movies, maybe 5 hours in a night and a half. But it was exhausting. Kind of worth watching though. Everybody rates it terribly. It is the worst rated trilogy I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if you guys have seen any of these films or not. The last one made $500,000 in the theaters.
No, I've never seen it.
It was rough, but there were some. They spent money. It was the third one was a little rougher than the others because there was a lot more like high end orchestra junk instead of what they had done previously. But it was they were relatively big budget films. Mm-hmm. Jethro Bodine from the Drew Carey show, Diedrich something is his name. He was in the second movie as well.
Yeah, $500,000 that's people like accidentally going.
Yeah.
That's incidentals.
Yeah. So it's on the YouTube TV. I think it's in other places as well. But in the politics age, I thought the third one was better. The story was wrapped up a little better in the third one, which you would hope it would happen. But it's just I've never worked so hard to watch a trilogy. And I was like, I want to finish it. I was completely committed to finishing the thing. But it was so damn hard of going back and saying, okay, who was this guy in the first movie? And then this is what he looked like in the second movie. And in the third movie, it was this person. And you could kind of figure it out, but it was work.
That would mess with my head. I mean, it was enough for me. I finally watched Hamilton when it came on Disney Plus, and somebody had said, watch it with subtitles. And yes, watch it with subtitles because the way you cast it's brilliant, but you can't look at somebody and say, oh, this is who this is. Like the guy who plays, I'm trying to think of one of the guy, Thomas Jefferson, maybe. I think the guy
he plays like two different characters.
Yeah, he looks like Randy Moss. It's like, well, I'm like, okay, he plays different characters. And so I'm like, and when I got
in Hamilton, they are all minorities as well.
Yeah.
So they don't, they're all playing white men, but they might be a woman. They might be
so it's like
in South America.
At least when the subtitles, it then tells you who's speaking part of the time. But when I got done, I was like, this is brilliant. But yeah, that was part of my brain power had to be used to like, okay, who's talking now? And who is this? And most of them I got pretty quickly, but some of them I didn't. But
so I assume I'm the only one in the room that's actually watched these movies. And this is like the most unuseful. The last movie was released like 5 years ago. So this is not timely at all. Other than it being election week, it has, and there are a lot of folks in politics that took their inspiration from these movies. This is not at all time sensitive. But have you guys seen these at all?
I never even heard of them.
Nope.
Honestly.
Atlas Shrugged, part one, part two. And
it sounds familiar. Like
who is John?
Maybe
Galt.
I should have heard about it.
Ron Paul and Glenn Beck are in the third one.
Really?
Yeah. Juan Williams is in them. Bob Beckel. I mean, they basically went to Fox News and said, "Hey, can we borrow some people?" And they were all in it, doing live commentary, kind of like you'd see in other more modern adaptations of things. So anyway, it was interesting. So what I want to know from you guys is there is anything that you've just powered through or like the hell with it. I'm finishing it. A series you're pissed off about, you've watched it and you're just going to finish it and not put it down because you want to say, yeah, I finally got through it. I know how the story ended.
If there is, it's been like before I had kids, which was before binge watching was a thing.
I think I'm currently working through The Sopranos.
Yeah.
I never watched it before, and I'm like in season 3 or 4 now.
Is it going well? Are you happy about it? Or are you
ups and downs.
We're gonna watch another damn episode.
There's like 3. It'll go like 3 episodes, and it's like, and then finally you'll have 1 episode, and you're like, oh, that was great, and then 3 episodes, It's just kind of up and down right now.
Producer Chris, before Paige came around, you had a lot of time.
Yeah, I binge watched a lot.
Is there anything you just watched out of spite? Like, screw you people, I'm finishing this.
So the last season of Game of Thrones, I don't know if anybody else watches it, but like
infuriating.
The first few, you're like, gosh, this is so freaking amazing.
Yeah.
yes. And then you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. And then you're like, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah. They really hurried it along, didn't
This
they?
episode
did.
will be rated E for explicit.
Yeah.
It's after 8 o'clock. It's after 8 o'clock.
Yeah, he did at least wait till after 8 o'clock.
But I was just like, wow. And I'm just like, all right, I was like, I'm committed. I'm watching it now. I've already invested 5 seasons prior. So I'm like, all right. And then also Arrow. I would say Arrow near the end. I started to push through just to get it because it connects to different TV shows that I was liking. So
Mike Broyle says Bosch. Bosch is his labor of love. Watching that. I think that's on Amazon, if I remember correctly. I remember
Yeah.
So here's the other one that I'm probably going to finally force myself to finish. It's on the list. And I really enjoyed it in the beginning, was Man in the High Castle.
oh yes,
Like
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
The first 2 seasons of it were captivating, and I've not finished it.
So
I know
that's
there's more out
that's
there.
based on if Nazi Germany had won World War II.
If the Axis powers
yeah.
had won,
Yeah.
so it's a parallel universe
yeah.
with the Japanese controlling the West, the Nazis controlling the East, and then the Rocky Mountains being like this middle ground of
Yeah.
anarchy. Really interesting.
It
show.
looks interesting. I haven't started it, but
Yeah.
I've seen it, and I thought that might be kind of cool.
The problem is that they release stuff and it takes a couple of years for it to come through. Like you go year to year and then you lose track. And I guess House of Cards. I never finished House of Cards either. After the Kevin Spacey issues, I never did go back to House of Cards and finish it up because I was kind of out anyway when it got. I've never finished House of Cards.
Yeah.
So that's another one. But that's I guess that doesn't count because it was the ones you forced yourself to finish, not the ones you've just left abandoned on the side of the road.
I'm real bad. I don't watch that much. I'm like, I've got the time and attention span for YouTube, and that's about it. I watch some YouTube videos, and
I can tell you what, you can seriously just like, if you on Facebook or YouTube, you just divulge into a dark, deep hole.
I was just telling somebody about Facebook has the rabbit hole, which is you click on a video, and then all of a sudden you're in a pipeline of videos. You can just scroll down forever, and they do a good. I mean, the algorithms are maddening but intelligent at times, and you're like, and next thing you know, you're like, it's 45 minutes has gone by. I started with a 45-second video of a cat, and I don't know where I'm at.
And now I'm watching a cat with weapons.
I watch a lot of like do-it-yourself videos, and then
Yeah.
next thing I know, it's like Ink Masters on. I'm like, oh, I gotta see what this one is.
Yeah.
The worst portraits, and you're like, oh, that was freaking god awful. Okay, back to DIY, do it yourself, and you're like, this is okay. Next thing you know, like Zach said, 45 minutes, hour later, you're like, shit, where did that time go?
There were a lot of folks agreeing that Bosch is excellent. Maybe we'll have to add Bosch to the hit list at home over the winter. That's the time of the year we get into it too. We're busy in the summer. We're off doing stuff. Wintertime, I kind of do long for the Saturday and Sunday of just sitting at home and doing nothing. We can do a little binging. But there's a few folks in the chat that say Man in the High Castle's worth it. Mike Royals coming in with the over 60s comment. Playboy on Prime with Hugh Hefner. And Mike's retired and he gets to collect Social Security and watch Hugh Hefner videos. I look forward to having Mike's life someday.
It
sounds good.
Years ago, I started watching The Americans, and then I think like a season into that and just ran out of time. I was like, I just don't have time to, like, I literally am so domesticated. I usually watch TV while doing dishes. So
Yellowstone sounds like it's a big one too. I've heard a lot of folks talking about Yellowstone this year.
We just started Evil on Netflix. It's pretty good.
I started watching somebody's Netflix has got one, or Disney Plus has one, The Right Stuff. I thought it was the movie The Right Stuff about the Mercury space program, and now it's like their own miniseries. So I've kind of gotten into that, and I'm waiting for The Mandalorian to come out. I do not.
October 30th.
Yeah,
boy.
For my birthday.
I love that one.
Yeah,
You know how old I am, but that's my birthday gift to myself.
I don't know what you're gonna do at 50 and watching The Mandalorian, but okay.
I did watch a little fanboy group with a couple of other gentlemen in this town over the West Wing, and HBO had a West Wing special, and we just complained to each other about how disappointing it was because it was a stage adaptation of something that they already did. Basically, they reread a show standing together. It wasn't any new material, so they reread one.
Did I hear they're rebooting that?
I wish. I don't think so.
I heard some show like
there's
that.
There's rumor of it constantly.
Yeah, they were going to reboot, and with most of the cast.
Yeah, I would
back.
I
don't know how you do that, but
incredibly incredibly popular if they rebooted The West Wing. But
There's one on Amazon too. I just finished not too long ago. I think something Hunters, where it's they're hunting Nazis.
Oh yes, that is really good.
It's really really good.
Yeah.
The last episode.
are they hunting old Nazis? Like they're old and retired?
Yeah. The last episode will blow your mind. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
They find Hitler. No comment.
In a retirement home.
spoiler alert.
I've never seen it. I'm just guessing.
And that's the problem with today. There's a million things to go watch, like Netflix.
Yeah.
Even like, everybody's Disney Plus, like a kids thing. Although I go back and watch movies from my childhood, but they have they have interesting documentary stuff about how Disney came to be and that whole process. And so yeah, there's a million things to go find and go burrow yourself into.
Your mom says she was a huge fan of Hugh Hefner. I learned so much about your mother in these chats every week when you come on.
I think she said she was a huge fan, not a Hugh fan.
I think she's a huge fan of Hugh. I think. I don't know. We'll let her clarify. Maybe we'll end the show quickly before she can clarify. We'll just leave it there. One last thing. I was informed this morning that I missed my dog's birthday, so I'm a terrible puppy owner. Garth is 3 years old as of yesterday.
Party on, Garth.
So that's something.
He's one of the most photogenic dogs I've ever seen in my life.
Dakota used to show up here too. His dog is also 3. Same birthday.
Happy birthday, Hank.
Same mama. Same litter. Same Australia. Same bad decision. We both got the Aussies. There you go, my show notes. All right, final thoughts. You got anything for me, producer Chris?
Nope, I got nothing.
Going once to Kade.
No, I'd just like to say another thanks to the whole community for the summer we've had with the produce and all the vendors we've had come out and support us. That's been really great. It's good to see a community come together for things like that.
You guys got a couple more weeks of activities, at least through the 1st of November?
So Saturday we have Payne's Fish and Chips coming out. And then all the normal vendors that were there, they're going to be out there too. So if you're not doing anything on Saturday, stop in and see us.
So, I mean, do you have beer?
No.
Damn it. We can't go.
Nope.
We might be able to.
Otherwise,
What if we rolled up with our own 6-pack?
Do you allow?
I mean, we're not going to say anything about it. That's what we're going to do. Otherwise, I always have something for sale. I've got a Yamaha
I was going to ask.
YZ250F.
Yeah.
It's a 2016. It's in pretty good shape. I got it for sale.
Have you mentioned it to Jared Burcham yet? Because it sounds like the kind of thing he needs to buy.
Nope, but that's why I'm here.
He's dirt bikeless right now. He got rid of all of his.
It's a really nice bike, though. It's in good shape. So if you're interested, shoot me a message.
All right. Zachary.
On the gearhead note, just because you went to a lake where you couldn't have more than like 50 horsepower, the Americans just reclaimed the production top speed record for a car. And I'm just going to mention it because it's so insane. Yeah. The overall record, which is 2 ways for the Olympic or for the Guinness Book, is 316 miles an hour. But the more staggering thing is there was a breeze, so it was a bit of an offset run. He hit 331 miles an hour in a street car, and he ran out of road, not out of horsepower. So you can't go on a lake in Illinois with 51 horsepower, but you can buy a car built here.
26 horsepower is too much in Illinois.
26.
I had 50. That was like double what was allowed.
But you can go buy a car that goes at least 330 miles an hour. And it was in street trim on tires, street tires, not special Michelin's.
Oh my God. I'm sure they're rated. I'm sure they're rated for 330.
Mark another win down for America.
Yeah. With a 7-mile-an-hour crosswind that pushed him a whole lane across during the ride. He said he wouldn't do it again.
And the helicopter was chasing too. I did see some
And there was a
stills.
jet. There was like a jet showed up too. I can't wait to see the video. They had some people out there doing a documentary about it. And if
he's on the Marshall Pruitt podcast talking.
Yeah, and I listened to that today. He talked about how he came up with the 2.5-page list going over the car of his concerns that he had to have addressed before he would do it, because they acknowledged like at that speed. He said one of his friends didn't realize he was about to make the run. He says, "Oh, if this goes wrong, I'm the reason why you're here because I suggested you, and you don't survive in a wreck above probably maybe 200 miles an hour if you got lucky if you slid." But the guy's like, "Yeah, if something goes wrong, he's like, I'm going to roll 10 times and you're going to be out of car." Mm-hmm. It's over. But yeah, and if you look on YouTube, the video is staggering how fast this car is. So,
I mean, that's faster than a dragster. They're doing 300.
Well, he couldn't apply full throttle till about 250 miles an hour because it would light him up. So you watch the video and he goes to like 190 and then he goes to
building.
250 and then he finally hammers down. And it's not like 251, 252. It's like 251, 256, 260. And it's still climbing, like moving the entire, all the way up to 300. And then when he lets off, he says he has to let off very lightly. You can't just let off and hit the brakes at 300 miles an hour. The car will just go crazy. The minute he let off, he said the whole car changed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to listen to him break it down on Marshall Pruitt's podcast because he kind of goes through the entire run. But there's like a 2-minute video. That's all it took to get up to that speed. Like a 2-minute video that covers the whole run. Is
that Bonneville Salt Flats or where?
No. Now the new spot is, and they might take him to Bonneville, but you don't generally want to take a $2 million car into a salt flat. Is a highway out in Nevada. I'm trying to think of what the town is. A town that's got between Las Vegas and the Pahrump, Nevada, and they mark off this road, and that's where Koenigsegg set the record last year. I think Bugatti probably, I'm not sure if they use that road. They have their own test track. But yeah, it's this long stretch of road and they shut it down and made 2 runs. I was like, that's 500 kilometers an hour.
In other land speed records, I've learned another fun little side business for you, Kade. We've been talking about weddings. You can rent crap for the weekend. Your kitschy farm crap. Tables, signs that says I love you, doors that are just heavy that have windows on them with crap on them, all of this shit. Whole box truck of it. We got voluntold that we were going to return it on the Sunday. Even though we had a 250-mile drive home, Danny and I got to drive a box truck 65 miles north, unload all this crap, and then return the box truck 65 miles south so we could drive our 250 miles back home. In that journey, we discovered that there's a hell of a lot of money in renting out this crap every weekend. So great idea if anybody owns stuff that people want to rent. And 2, a U-Haul box truck will do 84 miles an hour. That's the top speed. Fully wound out. I found out there was one that came ripping across 36 yesterday in Henry County.
I heard that, yeah.
I bet you
into Ohio.
I bet you could confirm that with local law enforcement. Yeah, they got to over. I think it's a huge county, but they got over to Darke County.
They made
Ohio.
it into Darke County, and I saw that they were clocked at 50 or 60. But somebody, and of course, I just skim read it because I don't pay attention to things. But they may have had the tires blown out at that point because I was like, I know for a fact that on a 4 chassis you can get 84 out of it because they did it Sunday.
Those. I think the first I saw that online, they were like Mechanicsburg.
Yeah,
and then I see them like they got arrested. Found the one guy's bleeding in the picture. In Darke County, I'm like, they almost got to Eldora. Like that's a pretty good little drive over there.
They went through the wind farm, so they might have gotten clipped by a turbine blade or something that caused them to bleed right across 36. That is a dangerous stretch of road.
They're putting new ones up now.
I know.
580 feet.
Death monsters.
3.5 kilowatt.
Death monsters. Mike says they were doing 45 with 1 tire. All right, that's enough of this. For sure, we got a show next Thursday. It's going to be the final congressional interview of the series of our candidate series. We have confirmed Janine Lee Lake, Democrat. We have confirmed Tom Firkinoff, Libertarian, and I have sent an email to the last contact I had at the Greg Pence campaign. If anybody has a better contact, please let him know that we're looking for him. I looked all over the website. I couldn't really find a phone number to call him or an email address. I could find a donate button, but I couldn't find the contact us. So I used the...
It's almost like they don't want us to get a hold of
It's
them.
really difficult.
It's really weird.
I don't know. I reached out to the last media contact person that I talked to all through the 2018 campaign. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. We know we have at least 2. Maybe we'll have 3 of the candidates.
Just act like you're hosting a fundraising function here. And he just shows up.
If I have it down the road at Republican headquarters, he may make it. All right, that's enough of this. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at wearelibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk. which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to wearelibertarians.com, and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at wearelibertarians.com.